Hello YouTube, this is Huntsman9 and I'm making a video about your your DLC, Tencent, Bandai, and Solio. I need to make this video because uh, I have to get this out the way because there's a big, huge problem with your DLC, and that's why I'm talking about this right now. Because like many others are probably excited for the new Season Pass DLC coming out. But for someone like me and people like me, or people that think alike like me, I'm not so excited for the new DLC, or I should say the new Season Pass DLC. Why? Because I think it's pretty obvious. Because if you go back and you look at the DLC Season Pass and what we got for the DLC, right? The problem is, look at the first character who you decided to promote for your DLC, Bandai Solio Tensei, Sakura. Out of all the characters, she should have been a free DLC character to begin with. It was already turning people. It already had people, turning from the game, not liking it, shunning the game. The point is, uh, people were people already didn't were already in dislike towards it because they already didn't like Sakura. And when we got the Sakura DLC, it it hardly even added anything. It was useless. I have to say that the DLC was useless. Before I get into this video, for those that want to say that I'm complaining, or maybe you, Bandai, Solio, and Tencent want to say that I'm complaining, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, if that's what anyone was thinking, no, this video isn't about complaining. This video is about giving you a message about some of these problems. I'm gonna get to that in a second, or in a few, but bear with me here. I'm saying, I can't sit here and just not talk about the problem with your DLC and the problem with this game, Bandai, Tencent Solio. I need to say something about the Sakura DLC for the season pass, because it looked like the whole thing that was carrying the DLC season pass was Kawaki, literally. But before I get to that, there's just one more thing I need to add, and it's not just about Sakura when it comes to her DLC. So, Bandai and Tencent, why do we get, for this DLC season pass, why do we get two healers, right? The healer class is toxic. It's already toxic, and it's even more toxic because of the Itachi ult and because of, um, the Susanoo, Yusaka Beach, and then the Genjutsu you could use, even though it takes strategy to use, it's still pretty toxic. But the whole, of course, the Yusaka Beads and the ulti, it's toxic. They're just straight down the middle. It's just toxic. You know what I'm saying? It's if the class is already toxic, right? Why do we need two uh, healer healer DLCs for a season pass when that could have been for defense types, or that could have been two DLCs for the range types for the season pass, or two attack type DLCs for the season pass? You get the point, right? So here's the problem with this whole thing, right? I'm gonna have to talk about range types because this is just plain ridiculous, right? Because what happened when for the DLC you've given us so far with the range types? You literally and I gotta get on this right now because what did you do with the range types? You nerfed it, right? Like for instance, Nagato's movement for when he uses his kunai, his choreography. It's like it's not just about his kunai were too overpowered. It's about how you ruined his animations for how he throws kunai on the ground and on the air. I mean, and in the air, because they were both distinct, and you ruined it and made it where he just hops in the air when he throws a kunai. And it's just like, why couldn't he just fix it to where when he does throw the kunai in the air, he just doesn't throw them as fast as he usually did on the ground? And you messed up his animation. And it's like, really? So, but another thing is, it's like, and what happened when it comes to nerfing, right? When it comes to nerfing, what happened to what's it called? The the rocket arm, basically, that Nagato has that you get to use. I guess it's called Chirado, if I'm saying it right. When you use Nagato's, basically rocket, his rockets and stuff, right? What happened? It's what I mean by it's nerfed is that when Susanoo was introduced, you couldn't use the rocket on Susanoo or his other rockets and stuff like that. His rocket launcher, or what I'm saying, or his missiles. Oh, that's a good way to distinguish the two, his rockets and his missiles. You get the point. But you mean to tell you mean to tell me, Bandai Soleil Tinset, that a measly paper bomb can break a Susanoo and get through Susanoo, but a ninjutsu from a character like Nagato and from a dojutsu like the Rinnegan can't break through a Susanoo? You mean to tell me a rocket launching ninjutsu or missile based ninjutsu can't break a Susanoo, but a tiny little paper bomb can break a Susanoo? It doesn't make any sense, Bandai. And that's not the only problem what I'm talking about when it comes to the whole nerfing. Because let's be honest here, every single time range types get a new ninjutsu, especially if it's good, it always gets nerfed. Bandai Tensei Soleil, you always nerf the range types for no reason whatsoever. They always get nerfed. You always nerf them. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Or even in a really good example, not just in ninjutsu, even the weapons. What happened to the Utakata bubble pipe, right? What did you do to the weapon? You nerfed it. Like I said, why? Why all the nerfs? It makes This is what I mean by who does this. What gaming company does this, Bandai Tensei Soil? No, really. And then let's also talk about the nerfing for, uh, I'm saying when it comes to range traps, like the Utakatsu bubble pipe, right? So you nerfed that weapon, right? How come you didn't nerf the weapon for the attack types, like the Asuma knuckle knives? Because that weapon is just like Jin's transformation in Tekken 5, where what I'm saying, you as an unlockable character, Jin's second form, right? What happened in Tekken 5? That form of his, it was not. It's not just it was overpowered. It was that the best way to put it. It was that he had like I don't want to say invincibility frames, but he had priority over other moves, and it's not like a design thing. It was a design flaw. He had a bunch of priority over a bunch of different things, and it made no sense. And that's just like what awesome knuckle knives are like, that they take priority over defense types and other types in the game. It makes no sense, even against attack types. There's some weapons that kinda can get through the knuckle knives, but the knuckle knives, it's just so bad, Bandai. It makes no sense why you haven't nerfed it. But you see what I'm talking about? It's like you give favoritism towards all these other classes, especially healer class. But it's like you want to just nerf range types for no reason whatsoever. And it's almost like you're sabotaging your game on purpose. I'm like, who does this? Why would you even sabotage your own game? Why is it that you don't want your game to be good? It's like you don't want your game to be good. It's like you don't want range types to be good. You know what I'm saying? Who does this? Right? What gaming companies does this? Out of all the video games I've played in my entire life, I've never seen a gaming company do something like this, as this ridiculous. I've never seen them do anything like this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I really haven't. I don't get it. Bandai and Tensei Soil. Who does this? It makes no sense whatsoever. This is all just bad, and I have to say that. And like I said, when it comes to Sasuke Susanoo, it should have been like in the weapon category for the defense types. Why? Because there's too many different counters for Susanoo. If I play Naruto Storm, right, and I play a Sasuke, I can use Susanoo anytime I want, any moment I want. You know what I'm saying? Why? Like, because when I use a block button, what Susanoo pops out? Why couldn't you just put the Susanoo in the weapon class category for the defense types? Because in the ninjutsu category, there's way too many things that counter it, and it just makes it where it's like it's not even fun. It's barely even fun to use. It's just like, oh, there goes my Susanoo. I can't you have fun with it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to toxic players with their teammates and stuff like that have a bunch of counters on purpose to make sure you can't use Susanoo, especially when it comes to substitution jutsus that stop it. You see what I'm saying, Bandai Intense Soil? And like I said, all the stuff I mentioned with Sakura and range types being nerfed, it makes me think, oh gee, so what's gonna happen I if I pay for the season pass, right? Say I pay for season pass 5 and I get a fun new range type ninjutsu that's amazing, right? It's good and it's fun to use and it's balanced, right? But then it's just like, oh, it gets nerfed. And it gets nerfed like, let's say it just gets nerfed, right? Whether it's on purpose or for whatever reason, I'm just going to sit there and be like, really? So I wasted my money for this? I wasted my money? Really? And you're going to nerf this and you're going to make me waste my money, Bandai Tencent Soil? And it's just like, here's the thing. Look at healers, right? I barely ever see you touch healers when it comes to how toxic the class can be. It's like you want to keep rewarding a class like the healer class to be toxic, but you won't do that for range types. It's like every other class can be toxic except range types, right? I'm not saying being toxic is a good thing. I'm just saying it's just like, why can't every class be good? Why is it only one? Why is one left out, right? It's like, it's almost as if you might as well not even have range types in the game to begin with. Why are range types in the game if you're going to just nerf them like this? If they're going to be lame or garbage, why are they in the game? Maybe you should have just made a Naruto game where range types didn't exist. Because that's where we're at right now. That's exactly where we're at. And this is exactly why I'm not excited for the season pass 5. Because what happens when I pay for your DLC and be like, oh, now like a lot of the name jutsu aren't good anymore. And that's the problem with these balancing issues. Like, there's a bunch of stuff you're just nerfing for no reason. And it makes no sense. But that wraps it up. The last thing I do need to say is that, like I said, this isn't complaining, because the definition of complaining has to do with you're just talking about something, but you're not having a resolve. The issue didn't get resolved, or saying nothing happened, right? But this is my way of resolving the issue: is that I said something to you, Bandai Tencent Soil, and I've said this to other people who are watching this video right now, so that all of you know the problem with this game. You know what I'm saying? Instead of wasting my time and money with your DLC for Season 5, I'll probably just take that money and spend it on some other DLC for some other games instead, or buy some other games instead. Why? And I'm not saying that I might not buy the Season Pass 5. What I'm saying is I'm more than likely going to keep watch and keep tabs on what you're doing with the Season Pass 5 and take a look at what you're doing. Like, for instance, before I just spend my money, like, okay, do I really want this DLC, or am I really gonna spend money on this DLC, or is this DLC gonna get nerfed, right? Or what I'm saying, maybe I'll just wait until all 5 of your characters are revealed, and then take a look and think about if I'm gonna buy your season pass 5 or not. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how bad this game is right now. This game is not like Street Fighter, where when it comes to the season pass stuff, right? how the reveals are epic and things like that. Or let's say for other video games have season pass. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have that same effect because of stuff like this. It's almost like there's nothing to look forward to. So it's like a lot of us feel like the only reason why you showed us Kawaki, you gave a reveal for Kawaki before he even came out, was so people would, basically bear with you, Bandai, Tencent Soleil, and pay for your season pass. That was already a problem. Because now it's like, now that the whole season pass is over with, there's a bunch of problems that I see. And I'm going to start off with Sakura just a little bit. The problem with the Sakura DLC is like the hard light, for instance. It's kind of good, somewhat good, but when you get ganged up on, it doesn't do much. It's nothing like, Zabuza's uh, ninjutsu for the ninjutsu slot, his kenjutsu technique. It's nothing like that. It's hardly or barely even anything like that. If you're playing against one person solo, you know what I'm saying, it can kind of do something. It's like it slightly does something better, similar to Ken from Street Fighter back in, Third Strike and stuff like that. He slightly does more damage with a Shoryuken, right? That's the problem because the hard light, it's like there's other ninjutsu that can disarm it, similar to Kawaki's ninjutsu. So then it's kind of like that ninjutsu, the hard light, it kind of becomes useless. And I want to get to other jutsu for Sakura because those jutsu are literally useless as well. But to get uh, this out the way first, the thing about the hard light ninjutsu, it's like when you use it, it's not even that good, right? It's like unless you're using the Spinner Rebellion weapon, or maybe, and I'm gonna say maybe the other Umbrella Scientific Ninja tool that first came out before Spinner Rebellion, that it can pair well with it to a certain degree, but hardly. So the thing about the hard light is Sakura has good taijutsu, right? In the game. I have to say she has good taijutsu. Um, by the way, even though like when it comes to Sakura having good taijutsu in this game, right? That's probably like one of the only good features of the DLC for Sakura, right? So when you use hard light with Sakura and how she fights, the jutsu works tremendously well, but for your CAC, hardly. So when you're using Sakura in the hard light, right? When she uses her uppercut like a Shoryuken, right? I know it's a Street Fighter reference, but to get to the point, bear with me here. When she uses her uppercuts, right, it's almost like a charge attack that a defense type uses. I know they have different animations, right? But what I'm trying to say is, you know how a defense type uses a charge attack and they can tank damage, right? They can take the damage and then dish the damage back at you. So Sakura's charge attack is similar to a defense type's, right? So that helps with the hard light. So, but when you try to use hard light for your character for your CC, it's just not the same. You're not getting the same results as you would with the Sakura deals, as you would with the cast character for Sakura. And now I can mention the other problem with this DLC is like the other ninjutsu, right? Basically helps your teammates ninjutsu come back faster and then remove status elements, right? But really, what is the ninjutsu doing? It's like it only heals you just a little bit. It's kind of like one of those ninjutsu, like, why do I have this in my ninjutsu slot, right? Yeah, you could use it for fun, fine, but really using it, it's kind of like, what is this? It's something that should be getting a buff, obviously. But here's another thing with the problem with Sakura Ninjutsu. Don't worry, I'm going to get to all the other DLC stuff in a second. I mean, in a while. but I need to get this out the way. Even with Sakura's ult, right? And this is why Sakura's DLC was such a disappointment. You know what I'm saying? The problem with Sakura's ulti is that when she uses her ulti, right, and she what's it called? She basically does like a jump in the air and then smashes the ground, right? Well, the problem with that is in this game, it's so slow that anyone can dodge it. And I'm not even joking because I've had someone try to use it on me and I wasn't even ready for it. And I literally dodged it without even thinking about dodging it. And it was so easy. You can get someone when they're like distracted or something like that, or maybe they're already on the ground and then you could hit them with it when they're about to get up. Yeah, you could probably do something like that, but who really has the time to even do all that? And oh, hold on, here's the biggest problem with that. With Sakura's ulti, she could only use it on the ground or on a surface. So it's kind of like have fun trying to hit someone, from a distance. Like maybe you're trying to do it on a, let's say, I'm not going to use a ledge. Like let's say for instance you're on a wall trying to use it. Have fun trying to catch someone with that, right? Or even if you're on the ground trying to hit someone with it, it's one of those things that's like a hit or miss. It's more than likely not going to work. And like I said, it's just I I know people are using excuses like, oh, you could time it. Even with that, the thing is just so slow, and it can only be used on the ground. You know what I'm saying? What good is that? What you should have did, Bandai, for Sakura's DLC is have Sakura's DLC. It should have been free. It shouldn't have even been in a season pass. It should have just been for free. I mean, if it wasn't a season pass, you get the point. It should have been free. But moving on, when it comes to this DLC, right? When she uses her ulti, there are a lot of different places on a bunch of different surfaces where it doesn't work or connect, and it doesn't make any sense. What you should have did, Bandai, with Sakura's ult is like it didn't show when she hits the ground with her fist. Um, she has like there's like an effect that goes on that's like a environmental effect she has. When she hits the ground, a bunch of rocks, like a bunch of chunks of different boulders and rocks fly out, and it's likely to hit her opponent. So it's like even if she misses, right, the boulders and stuff and debris will more than likely hit the opponent, even if she misses, right? But here's the problem: you didn't add that to the game. If you had added that to the game, that would have made her jutsu a whole lot better, especially since you can only activate it when she's on the ground. And then here's the other problem: even though you have a second activation for her ulti, guess what? The problem here with that is that it heals you and your team slowly. That's not very viable in the game if it's only going to heal you slowly, because that still gives your opponent a good chance to still knock down your health and your teammates' health. It's basically not really viable. Tsunada's jutsu is more viable because it heals you fast. Same thing with like if healer tags versus those Easter egg heal things, whatever they're called, whatever it's called, it heals you too slow. Or whatever those items are that you can use to heal yourself, they're too slow to heal yourself. You're better off literally using just a healer tag because it just heals you quicker and faster. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're taking tons of damage. So I have to say this that the Sakura DLC was terrible and bad. And just in case anyone thinks that, oh, I'm just a Sakura hater, no, actually, I like Sakura. And of all the people who would like Sakura, it would be me, right? But here's the thing why I'm even telling you this. You know what I'm saying? As much as I like Sakura, even I have to say how terrible the DLC was for Sakura's DLC. Bandai, Tencent Solil, if a person who likes Sakura has to tell, even a person who has to tell you that the Sakura DLC was bad and they liked Sakura, or they like Sakura, that should tell you the problem with your game. That should already tell you what the problem is. That should already tell you that that's bad. When it comes to someone, no, just in case you didn't get what I'm saying, right? There's tons of people who already don't like Sakura, right? And I already told you this about when your DLC dropped for Sakura, that people were already in distaste about it, right? So people were already disgusted with it. So, but for people like me who do like Sakura, right? And I have to sit here and tell you that it was bad. That should already tell you something. You know what I'm saying? Because they're obviously the reason for one of the reasons why people just dislike Sakura is because of realistic reasons, and there are a ton of realistic reasons for why people would even hate Sakura. Because I can say this because I used to hate not dislike Sakura. At first, I kind of liked Sakura, then I disliked her, but that was like at the beginning of Naruto before Shippuden, and but later on I started liking Sakura more as a character, like thinking for myself like, oh, she's not that bad, right? Um, I mean, there's certain things I can still dislike about her. I still like the character, but it's just a point to give you. So there's no excuses here. But I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm gonna say that whoever's watching this video, thank you, and God bless you. I'm out.